Hey, welcome to Zach's Tech Turf in my new series, Gaming on Sunday Morning, which is where I'm going to be checking out a brand new free game every single Sunday. If you guys missed last week's episode, make sure you check that out. I actually reviewed Soda Dungeon, which is nothing like the game that we're about to review, and that one was really fun, and I had a lot of fun playing that for an entire week, and I was really hoping that this week would be the same. But this one didn't really hit as good as I wanted it to. But we're going to proceed through this, and it wasn't that bad. But the game that we picked this week is Line of Sight. Now, Line of Sight is an online-only first-person shooter. And there are a ton of first-person shooter free-to-play games out there. But this one is pretty much brand new. It came out at the end of January, and it has a ton of reviews, so it's gotten a lot of popularity. So, of course, I had to check it out. Now, before we jump into this, I wanted to let you guys know about my OP Seat sponsor, which is the chair I'm rocking right now. Make sure you check out my full review on that if you haven't already. And also, I wanted to let you guys know that Gaming on a Sunday Morning also has its own website. So if you're not into watching this cringe-worthy video of me trying to play video games and you just want to read my review, make sure you click the website that's in the description box. And that's a full written review by me. It's pretty lengthy. I go pretty in depth over there. So I think you guys will enjoy that if you're not into the YouTube video. So my battery on my camera is about to die, so I might have to change up the camera angle. We're going to proceed as far as we can. So before jumping into the actual game, I want to show you the Steam store page, just like I did last week. And the thing that really attracted to me to Line of Sight was all of these reviews in a game that was just released on January 31st. So here you can see that there's 3,990 reviews, but they're only mixed, and I think the mixed is a perfect representation of how I personally feel about this game as well. It hit the spot, but I have a lot of mixed feelings, to say the least, about it. So if we scroll down here, all of the reviews are like there's a recommended, not recommended, and it's just going to go back and forth over here on the right hand side. Now there's a lot of people that are complaining that don't need to be even writing reviews at this point. So we're going to jump into this game. The pure amount of popularity is what brought me into this game. And the type of this game is an arena first person shooter. It's kind of like Call of Duty, honestly. The kill time, or the time to kill, is a little bit shorter than Call of Duty. I would say a little bit more realistic as a part to just the time to kill. The headshots were registering perfectly from what I could see of my week of playing. One headshot, one kill, or it's gonna kill. Pretty happy about that, honestly. They are trying to bring it into the esport world. Usually down here where it shows like this Facebook stuff, it shows that their new esport tournament that the developers are hosting, which is pretty cool. I really like that a free first-person shooter is trying to get in to the esports world, but I just don't think they have the popularity to do that because there are so many people who don't feel great about this game, as we saw with the mixed reviews. So I don't know how that's gonna go. I hope it does well. But the next thing I want to talk about is the UI really quickly. This might look daunting at first, but it's actually super clean and super optimized, and it really helped me out. You can just see here at the top right is where you have the matchmaking and the server browser, which are the only two ways of getting into the games. You have your daily missions, your weekly missions, and monthly missions that you do to get money. There's free items of the week, which I'll talk about in just a minute. And then up here at the top is where you can go to the shop, your loot crate basically, they call it random box, inventory, tuning, equipment, all the normal type stuff. The tutorial of this game was super slow, and the English translations in it were actually awful, and the tutorial was terrible, but don't let that turn you off of this game. It was definitely not a good start, and it was, like I said, it was super slow, but power through it and then get to the actual game. So the first thing I want to talk about with the actual game is the customization. Now, as you can see from probably tons of reviews, there's a ton of customization in Line of Sight. Every single gun can be, here, let me go to the inventory here. Every single gun can be tuned, what they call it, just to a ridiculous level. You have your muzzle, your barrel, utility top, side and bottom, optics, magazine, and body. And each of these you can also pay for, as you can see here, a different camo for each one of these, which is really cool. But the camos are a premium currency, which you can see the diamond here, which is a little bit harder to get, or you can pay for it with real money. So there are microtransactions. Let's just jump into that. It doesn't break the game. It's not a pay-to-win game at all, which I'm definitely a fan of. You can just buy cosmetic items, and you can even buy guns. You can unlock every gun with in-game currency, which is all that matters, but if you want to speed it up, you can spend money to do that. So the normal currency, I don't even know what it's called, gold, money, I don't know. But all of these parts and weapons are bought with the money. And this is where my first biggest complaint of this game comes down to. Everything is just too expensive. They do have the option, let's go back to the store here. Where's the store? In the store here, you can go to weapons. I'm gonna buy a primary assault rifle. Now you can see here that it looks like it costs 9,000. I only have 66,000, but that's only to rent the weapon for 3 days. I hate this concept. I've seen it before. I think it was in like Blackout. I think that Retribution Blackout. You rented weapons, and I hate that with a passion. I don't like shooting guns that aren't mine. When I kill somebody, I want them to know that it was my gun with my attachments perfectly customized with the awesome camo. I don't want to be renting a gun. I just don't think that's very fun. So if you even just look at this Scar weapon here, if you go to purchase it, like I said, it costs 9,000 for just a 3-day rental. And if you want to permanently unlock it, it's going to cost 216,000, which everyone's going to earn a different amount for every game. We all have different skill levels. But I was only getting a couple thousand of gold or whatever per game. And so this would just take entirely way too long to unlock a bunch of weapons. I do like that you can try it, but even the trying of the weapons with the 3-day unlocks is pretty expensive. Now the one way that they combat this is if we go back to this main page here, they do have the free items of the week. As you can see, there's 2 weapons here this week, the MP5 and the G36. This is a great way to try a weapon, and I was actually using the G36 a lot, and it's a really good gun, by the way. But like I said, I don't really like killing people with a rented gun. It just doesn't feel authentic. But that's just me. Another way that they combat it is with the daily missions. Now, most of these are pretty easy, as you can see. Support weapons, 20 minutes, any mode. I mean, you just have to log on to get that at this point. So that's an easy way to make 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. But the reason why this is also bad is because weapon attachments cost an insane amount as well. So if we go back into the tuning here, and let's just say we want to tune this M4. Let's look at how much a muzzle costs. Just a muzzle. Look, these are 6,800 for just a muzzle, and we already can see about how many things we can have. I think I bought like 2 or 3 optics before I actually picked one that I really liked. So I wasted a ton of money there. And now there is a cool feature called the firing range, which is where you can go and test out the weapon before you go and use it, which is an awesome feature. And I'll tell you why it's awesome. Because if you're in your inventory here, all you have to do is click firing range, and boom, look how quick you are in it. There's no loading screen. Sorry, that was ridiculously bad aiming. There's no loading screen, and watch, when I'm done with it, I hit the escape key, and boom, I'm right back into the inventory page. I hate when I have to try a new weapon and I have to jump into a game full of bots like in Call of Duty to test games. So this is an awesome feature, but now there's a huge downfall with it as well. You can only go to the firing range with attachments that you already purchase, which means you can't just try out an attachment, specifically optics, because you don't know. Whenever you go to the optics here, there's no preview of what it will look like. And like I said, I spent too much money trying to figure out which optic I wanted to use. And I wish you could just hop into the firing range and test it out before you buy, kind of like real life. So that was a huge downfall, but I really like how seamless it is getting to the fire range. I just wish that you could test out weapons and attachments before you get there. Now, one more thing before we actually jump into a game here is I want to show you the help section. Not right there. If we go back to the main page here, somehow. If we go back to the main page here and go to UI hints, it really breaks down exactly how to do everything, which I really like. But more importantly, I really like this tips option. Now under this tips tab, it shows you, after it takes forever to load, it shows you what all like the different modes are, which I'll let you guys read at your own. I don't want to go through all these, but it really has some awesome explanations on how to do things. And I was actually referring to this a lot. They have it laid out perfectly so that you can just look for whatever you need to learn about, and you have all the basic information right here. I wish more games would include that, and I'm actually going to start looking for games that have this in the future, because this really helped out a ton. And it wasn't just some extra feature that they added to this game to show you how to play it. This was actually very useful. So we're going to jump into a game here, and I'm actually going to talk about how this game actually plays. I'm pretty nervous to play this on camera because my aiming is going to be terrible when I'm trying to talk to you guys. But we're just going to go into matchmaking here. There's individual rankings, and then you can do with a clan. There's different types of modes here. They got the normal domination, capture the flag, team deathmatch, and they have where is it? Like team survivor, which is the round by round type game. We'll do that actually. That way I can talk. We'll try that. See if we can find it. Team Survivor is the round by round, kind of like CSGO, where you only have one life, but there's no diffusing. It's just whoever, whatever team lasts the longest. So this brings me to my next point of every single game you jump in, you're going to see this estimated wait time of 30 seconds to 60 seconds. This is terribly inaccurate. And I wish that they would have spent time actually figuring out how long it would take you to join games, because like you saw on the previous page or slide or whatever, you can select how many games you want to be matchmade to. So like right now I'm only selected into Team Survivor, so it's probably going to take me a little bit longer to actually find this game. But I wish it was more accurate so I could see how long and how many people are in each specific game. That way I'm not going to search for a mode that nobody's playing, because then I have no shot of playing. I'll be waiting here all day, which could possibly happen right now. So I'm not a big fan of that. Another game mode that was very interesting is Capture the Flag. It's just like any normal Capture the Flag that you've probably played before, but for some reason they set the max time limit to 20 minutes and the capture, like the target score to win the game, at 12. 12 captures in 20 minutes. That's absurd. There is no possible way that a team full of random people, now it could happen if you're on an organized team, but there's no way that a team of just random people are going to get 12 captures. There's no way that we're going to have that much team coordination. And if you get into a capture the flag match, you better expect to be going for that full 20 minutes. I've done a few matches, and every time I've gone to the full 20 minutes. But the only cool thing about that is you're going to get a bunch of kills. I was getting like 40 or 50 kills, I think, for that. So here, as you can see, like this is just taking too long, 30 to 60 seconds. We're already at 2 minutes. So I'm going to cancel here. I'm going to go to matchmaking. I'm going to go to individual. We'll go to general non-ranking. And I'm just going to select every type of mode. Now, you might be seeing this type and then the classics, and there's different types of capture the flag. Like there's 3 types of capture the flag. That's because there's skills involved in this game. I wasn't a big fan of it. It honestly reminded me like it's trying to be those futuristic Call of Duty games, and we really don't need any more of those. Like some of the skills where you shoot fire out of your hand, and I just don't think that that has any solid place in a first-person shooter, especially an esport first-person shooter. So I didn't really like the whole spell thing. There was another one where you can teleport around the map, kind of like Overwatch, honestly. Like you only teleport 3 feet in front of you, and I just wasn't a fan of that either. So the different modes, like the 3 different capture the flag modes, for example, you can play classic, which is where it's just basic, which is where I'm pretty much playing all the time because I don't like the spells. And then there's some game modes that limit the type of spells that can be used. So as you can see here, we're just still waiting here, and this is the biggest problem with any free first-person shooter. There's just not a lot of people that play this game. So here we're going to jump into a map, finally, after it loads. And you can see that in the bottom right here that it's a very basic looking map, and this is kind of how I felt about all of the games. So I don't even know what game mode we're in here, but The map variety in this game wasn't the best, honestly. I just didn't feel like there was a big difference between the maps. And there are some maps that are like this, which feels like a paintball speedball type game. Wow, I just got a triple kill. I'm so glad that happened. Okay, now I have somewhat credibility, right? No, that was lucky. But yeah, so the map variety just wasn't there. But the good thing I like about it is the movement. As soon as I jumped into this game, unlike most first-person shooters, I gotta keep open that one. Unlike most first-person shooters, there was actually not that long of a time it took for me to get somewhat decent at this game. The controls were very smooth. The aiming was very smooth. It didn't take me long to get my sensitivity down, and it's a really, oh, there, I just got killed. It was a very easy game to get into, and that I definitely appreciate. So whatever game we might just be playing team deathmatch here. I really don't know, but as you can see, the score in the top left and the top right, we're playing to 5,000. My team's at 8,800, 9,200. Another cool feature about it is awakening skills. Now this might turn a lot of people off, but awakening skills is whenever you start to die a lot and you get on like a dying streak, you start to get a couple bonuses. Now, I know some people hate this and some people love it. I personally think it's a good idea because it gets the bad players, and usually myself, to a more competitive advantage. So, like after you die 2 times in a row, your damage reduction against you goes up a little bit, and like after you die 4 times in a row, your damage starts to increase against other players, which is pretty cool. It has no place in ranked gaming. I don't think it should be in ranked gaming, but in like casual modes like this, it really helps the new players out. And that brings me to my point of who I think this game is for, and I think it is for new players that want to get into first-person shooters on the PC and even esports, because it is it's pretty much balanced. Like as you can see this map here, there's no like major choke points, there's no spawn or there's no camping spots that are ridiculously bad or anything. It's pretty even for the most part. The aiming is super smooth, like you're gonna develop your aim, so I think it's just really good for a new, like someone that's just getting into PC gaming, and especially first-person shooters using a keyboard and mouse, because that's a really daunting task. But as you can also see, the graphics are pretty good. It ran really well on my GTX 980, which is what you're seeing now. This is actually in 1440p, but it will be in 1080p on YouTube. And I also tried it on my Lenovo Y50 laptop. The Lenovo Y50 laptop only has a GTX 860M in it, which is it's pretty equivalent to like a GTX 560 Ti or like a 7950, I think. And I ran it above 60 FPS in 1080p on low settings. It also ran even better on minimum settings, but there are a ton of graphics there's a camper. There are a ton of graphic settings that you can manually change as well, so you'll be able to play this game on lower end systems. I'm not going to benchmark it completely, but it is optimized for the most part, especially for a free-to-play. I'm actually impressed by how optimized this is for a free-to-play game. So that's basically all I wanted to cover in this review. I'm going to let you see some more of my cringeworthy gameplay here and how the graphics look. Look at all these people. I really like how you can randomly throw a grenade like that. You don't have to select a grenade. You just press the G button and it throws it. Or you can press 4 to select a grenade and then aim it. So that's another random cool feature. But that's pretty much gonna wrap up this episode of Gaming on a Sunday Morning. Like I said, make sure you check out the first episode where I reviewed Soda Dungeon, a completely different game than Line of Sight. But I think we did pretty decent with Line of Sight. I was way more happier with Soda Dungeon in episode 1. But I don't think I'm gonna be returning to this game. But I also do recommend this game if you want to get into first-person shooters. If you're on a budget, you don't want to pay for a game, this is a pretty solid option. So one more reminder, this is completely in a written form on my website. If you want to check that out, it's going to be the first link in the description. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please drop a like down below to help support my channel. And as always, thank you for watching. And please subscribe for more Zach's Tech Turf videos.